Welcome, Miami, to another episode of Fast Break for all those that are still watching after that introduction. We felt it was only right to do that for Mr. Jimmy Butler. We all hail Jimmy, Dread Jimmy. I like to imagine Jimmy as, like that picture of Jesus Christ you have in your home. Like, I want a picture of Jimmy just with the dreads all the time. Oh, like always, my right-hand man, Clutch. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
I'm having fun, man. Considering the vibe of like last show, where I said,
Oh,
"Oh, we could be done in 5." Well,
wait.
it might be the other way around. Who knows?
We could be done in 5 with the first round.
Yeah,
Moving on to the next one. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? And hopefully Justin will join us later too. Obviously, we know he's always traveling for work, so he might not be available. But if he does pop on, we'll have him on screen. I always, like always, first and foremost, let me start by thanking all our listeners. Thank you, 23423 Welcome from Jacksonville, Duval County. Make sure you tune in, especially tomorrow. Draft coverage starts here at the network. Everybody here at FTSN is going to be basically involved with the cast. We're going to be doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Bobby around the clock. You got Brett. You got Dave Stager. You got the Josh Wingate. And we might pop up. We never know. My schedule's a little busy. I got some tournaments coming up this weekend, but I might make a guest appearance, a non-football expert. But Clutch, without further ado, you just mentioned the atmosphere that we had last show. We did say that Miami matches up pretty well with Milwaukee in certain aspects. I was surprised the way we played game one. I figured we had to attack them. We couldn't stop them. We couldn't let them get set in their rotations, in their defense, their half court offense. There's no team in the NBA that defends Giannis like we do. The famous wall, the Giannis wall. What are your impressions so far in this series? And then I'll give you my points, man.
I mean, the first game. I mean, we're all excited, but cautiously optimistic, because it seemed to like click in the first game. But then the second game happened where we got straight up blown out without Giannis playing,
We got
and
smoked.
the feeling was okay. It's all downhill from here, right?
What's up, Bobby? Our fearless leader.
Hey, Bobby. But
Bobby.
but yeah, so we thought it was downhill from there, and all of a sudden, I don't know if it was the home court. I don't know if it was Jimmy Butler himself saying "screw that." I I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, keep it going.
It's a combination. It's funny because people look at our roster and this whole season, no one could have predicted that the role players would regress per se percentage wise. No one could have predicted our shooting woes. But the way this team is playing right now is kind of how you figured they were going to play this whole season. That's why you saw the the um, the supporting cast being rounded around Jimmy, Tyler, and Bam. And don't get me wrong, missing Tyler Hero is a huge step here because undoubtedly Jimmy doesn't go for 56 if Tyler's here. Not because Jimmy can't do it, it's because obviously they're going to run some plays for Tyler, free him up, some high pick and rolls, and you're going to run sets for him. So Jimmy doesn't have to score 56. You could tell the last game, and I was sitting down in my couch and I'm watching the game and I see Jimmy makes the first few buckets and I'm like, okay, he's already up to 6 and 8 points. The team only has 12. I'm like, okay, I see where this is gonna go. Jimmy and I was telling my son, and I'm like, they're gonna try to push it, man. So every time they made a break, they pushed more and more. Milwaukee had an answer. Milwaukee had an answer, and I'm like, I wanted to see what they did in the third quarter to try to cut the lead, and somehow in halftime they were down, I think 6 or 7, and then they entered the fourth quarter down 11, and soon they were down 13. I'm like, okay, let's see what we do here, and I'm like, you go with the mentality that you push it because you want to go back to Milwaukee up 3-1. You don't want to go to Milwaukee 2-2 and possibly lose game 5 and then have to defend home court and try to clinch a game 7 because you're probably not winning the game 7 in Milwaukee on the road. But I would not pass it by this team. Um, you push it, and everything broke in. That's why the will to win is always greater than the talent. And let me tell you one thing, Clutch. One thing that I've noticed Budenholzer looks. I'm not going to say he looks lost. He's obviously a magnificent head coach, and I'm not saying he's going to get fired if they lose in the first round. I wouldn't doubt it, but he looks right now outcoached because they gave us their best punch, and they have no way whatsoever to stop Jimmy. You can't do anything to stop Jimmy. You can't double him outside. You can try to double him in the block when he catches there and he tries to initiate offense through there. But you have Spo playing finally Robinson. You have Spo playing and just the numbers. I'm not gonna go. This is more of the eye test. The fact that Robinson is part of the rotation, just even if he's not hitting shots, when he's on the floor, he still has this massive gravitational pull. Hey, and Duncan Robinson, one of the best things he did last offseason, when he got his contract, one of the number one things that he worked on was his dribble penetration, and you saw that on display. Duncan is just not a shooter anymore. Yes, his defense is still going to be a liability. We understand this. But just the fact that you have him out there, it expands your offense. It opens up so many lanes for Jimmy. It opens up a bunch of pockets for Jimmy to nitpick what he wants to do. And you have the role players essentially being what they needed to be. This is how Kyle Lowry should have been playing from the beginning of the year. He should have been the backup point guard. He should have been manning that second unit. Caleb Martin ideally should have been coming off the bench. Obviously, you had Jovic. You're not going to play your 19-year-old the whole season. So Kevin Love steps in for the reason of you need to defend Brook Lopez. You need to defend Bobby Portis Jr. Brook Lopez still dropped 36 points on us, man. And that's not going to make a difference. We can let them dominate down low, and you can still win game 5. So I want to see how they come out today. This is funny. We had never done this before, Clutch. And now for the second week in a row, we're a preview show of the game coming. So what are your expectations for this game? I know Milwaukee's going to throw the first punch, but I want to see their attitude towards the second half. At the beginning of the third quarter and the fourth, I want to see their expressions. How if they're successful in stopping. But if our shots are falling, if Robinson's shots are falling, Lowry's shots are falling, if Jimmy is on, and I want to see how Bam comes out because Bam is hurt. He's not going to come out and say anything, and I'm not excusing anything. He needs to be more assertive. But we saw how he played game 1. He got 22 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. So I'm not into this conversation of Bam regressing. I did see him make some consistent shots, but this is a very difficult matchup for Bam because the way they protect the paint, their size is a disadvantage to him. But yet, without Bam's defense, none of this happens for this whole series. So, Clutch, what are your perspectives? What do you feel we have to do this game to try to just close it out in 5?
I mean, first, I think as a team, you have to come out with the mentality of not, we basically have home court right now, so we can go back to Miami and win it in 6. You have to come out thinking we got to step on their necks and end it now. That meant you have to take that mentality into the game. And I think for sure at least one person on that team has that mentality, and you know who I'm talking about. He's on my screen right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And he was on our screen for 3 minutes to begin the show.
And actually at least 2 people on the team know that. And because Spo has it in him. Spo has that in him. He knows what's needed.
And one thing that I see, and we've talked about this throughout the course of the season. The reason you signed Jimmy Butler is not for him to be doing this during the regular season. Now, I don't advocate for players taking time off or, that load management crap. I understand you got to maintain, especially an older player. So, obviously, Jimmy's not 22, 23. He's played heavy minutes his whole career. But Jimmy has become, this is the two tales of Jimmy. Jimmy was always Jimmy. But one of the magnificent traits that he has is that he's a student of the game. If people that don't understand basketball, 56 points, amazing. You know what amazed me was how elite Jimmy Butler's footwork is in the paint. Jimmy Butler can get away with an elite footwork package around 7-footers, around 6'2". He can overpower you because he's still strong. So
he was
Jimmy
working
is like the
in the post.
epitome right now of all areas. And if Bam, for example, could get that footwork, even this size right now, that's another growth spot for Bam. Because I'm not even this episode, I'm not going to talk about anything in the future, because I do believe no matter what happens this season, changes are coming. We don't know the magnitude of those changes, but I do understand the front office at times This season was an underperformance because maybe we were playing out of position. A lot of players' expectations were really high, and they reached their ceiling. That there's a lot of things that you see. For example, Max Strus can have an amazing game, and then he goes and lays an egg for the next two games. But you still use him. You still use his gravitational pull. He's still a shooter. He can ignite at any moment. So it's insane how it's all lined up where yes, you've had freak injuries. We lost Tyler Hero, we lost Oladipo when he finally looked fresh, and you're still in it. Why? Because Jimmy Butler and the will to win. And now Jimmy is center stage. Your role players just have to play their role, and we will succeed no matter what. That's the number one thing that people don't realize is your will to win is not greater than Jimmy Butler at all, at all. And we're going to talk playoff scenarios and also clutch. I want to bring up to you um, the Jimmy hierarchy in the organization because it's still only 4 years. This is his fifth year, or this is fourth year with us.
It's 4.
Four, right? Okay. He has, if not already, Dwayne Wade obviously is the pinnacle. Udonis has him as a homegrown talent for us. That's obviously I'm not talking about performance or on-court performance. I'm just talking about overall member. Udonis has him as there. But you can argue that Jimmy is right behind Wade, even with LeBron, because we understand LeBron came in the big three, but LeBron's a different animal. LeBron is I won't even consider LeBron. I won't compare LeBron to any other regular player because we've never seen someone like LeBron. We might never see someone like LeBron again. But we said that with Jordan, and LeBron came, so he's on a class of his own. I do believe Jimmy has a possibility of being top two Miami Heat player of all times, and I don't think there's any player that is the epitome of the organization more than him in the aspect of Udonis has the heart, but as the leader of a team, an MVP candidate, Jimmy Butler is the epitome of what it is to be a Heat player and a Heat culture. So, do you think we close it out today, man, or it comes back to Miami?
I'm, I don't
What's
have a
your
gut
feeling?
feeling one way or another. I
Uh huh.
I hope we close it out. I really do because I think it matters to get this series over with as soon as possible and not
Yeah,
play around and have it go longer than it needs to be, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a game 7 and then in Milwaukee and then
and
you're in trouble.
exactly, exactly. All up to now, and people are going to talk about, like I said, part of the situation is we don't have Hero, we don't have Oladipo. Our depth, and that's another thing. Our bench is the number one scoring bench in the playoffs. I understand it's a small sample size, 4 games. We're the number one rated offense in the playoffs of all playoff teams. We are playing how we thought we were going to play this whole year.
Think about that.
Which
We're an 8th seed and we're the best offense
yes,
in the entire NBA right now.
yes, yes. Oh, look, we got Bobby prediction. Bucks take it tonight. He closed it out in Miami.
You know
Uh,
what? I love Bobby, but Bobby lacks the
not
culture,
today.
the
No.
guts.
According to my sources, Bobby has no Heat culture in him. No Heat culture. He is
According to
fins
my
up all the way.
sources, Heat and 5.
um, this is the typical conversation of that's the reason people even before, oh my God, we should miss the playoffs. We're gonna get the lottery. This is the reason you don't do that. This is the reason you play basketball the right way. This is the reason you play the game. Because when it's 0-0, and we came in, which is the ironic part. For the first time, we go into a playoffs with the whole team relatively healthy. Some knacks here, this and that, okay. But this was the first time we go into a playoff series, and from the Big Three era, that we were completely healthy for the most part. What happens? We lose Hero the first game. We lose Oladipo third game. So there are things that everything happens for a reason. Unfortunately, if Hero doesn't get hurt, Robinson doesn't come in. Robinson has unlocked that offense even more with his playing time, and you can't overlook that. I understand you can try to block it out, but you cannot overlook the effect that Duncan Robinson has on this team. And even through the whole Jimmy era, when Duncan Robinson is part of this rotation, that offensive rating spikes. Got a little stuck there. Spikes up, and you cannot deny that at all. I understand the defense, and Bam has even taken a more role. And Bam has regressed a little bit defensively this year with his mechanics and all that. People haven't seen that because Bam still makes up for it with his athleticism. But obviously, I don't know if there's a tired effect to it. The only thing I don't like is when Bam goes back to his ways and he's out like in the top of the key and he's looking around to just hand it off. At those moments, I do wish that he just drives up and attracts the defense. Make him make a play. Get him in foul trouble. I don't care. If your shots are not going, obviously that's the epitome of a team. You start kicking in. He's still rebounding. He's still going to give you some assists. He's still going to be an essential part, the integral part of your defense. But if Jimmy is flowing by design, I let Jimmy cook. It's okay. I don't mind if Jimmy on a closeout right now, on a possible closeout a serious game. I let Jimmy play 40, 41 minutes, 42, just like he did. You just got to time it, wisely. But we'll close more later on towards the season. Bobby asked, "Is Hero out the entirety of the postseason?" Yes, he had surgery. The timeline is 6 weeks. He could come back for the finals.
Yeah, he'll be back when we make the finals.
Yeah. I don't. Obviously, it's Tyler Hero. You're gonna play him, but then it comes into like, do you mess with the dynamics of the team? Do you bring him? That's the whole scenario that we'll have the conversation on a later show. So, and we should be there. And I do want to talk about the whole NBA. We could do a quick rundown, Clutch. I know we started late today. We did start on Cuban time. So, and because there's a few comments about the Knicks and all that, and I think we match up pretty well with the Knicks. So that's a different conversation. So we'll start in the West, okay? Clutch, what is your take right now? Lakers, old LeBron, Dylan Brooks talking shit again, gets his ass handed to him. Lakers are on the verge of closing that series out. They're up 3-1. Yesterday, Phoenix closes out the Clippers. Once again, the situation with the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard is not healthy. We find out today he has a torn meniscus, so that comes possibly with surgery. Paul George was going to play in the second round if they made it past the Suns. That's not going to happen. Clippers have a lot of questions that need to be answered this offseason. Do you stick with this? Do you retool around them? Do you move either George or Leonard? Do you move both? We have no idea what's going to happen. You have your other series, which is Denver closes out, obviously, Minnesota. Minnesota goes for the big trade and Rudy Gobert. When that happened, I told Bobby, I don't think this is going to work. You're kind of putting all your eggs in a basket. That type of center, there's a reason he didn't advance with Donovan Mitchell, and he basically handicapped the whole offense. We'll see what they do. What is your take in the West, bro? What field do you get? Are the Suns just the team to beat just because of the talent they have? Or Denver?
There's still, like, I know Denver's the 1 seed. I know they finished off Minnesota quite easily, but there's just something about them that doesn't scream finals to me. And I think the more games that Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul play together, they're gonna get better. And just last night, it was last night. Devin Booker had 41 points through 3 quarters. And he's an incredible player, second best player in the playoffs. You know who number 1 is.
Absolutely. Wait, do we need to, just in case, if people don't know, quick reminder.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy is like a Cuban grandmother, because obviously the J in Spanish is like, it's pronounced differently. So I just imagine my grandmother saying, Jimmy, Ben Jimmy.
Yeah, man. So I think the Suns are probably, like you said, the biggest threat in the Western Conference. I know. And really quick to get into this Memphis thing. If I was a Memphis fan, I would be so mad. I would be so mad at Dylan Brooks, because
you don't do that.
You don't poke the bear like that. I'm sorry, you don't poke the bear. And all he did was talk, and now he's like refusing to talk to the media because he's getting his ass whooped.
Of course, I hate those type of people, man. I hate those people that talk when they're up, and then when they're down, they don't address anything that they said, like an Etch-a-Sketch. Oh, it didn't happen. Yes, you did. We got you recorded. Look, I will play the video. Look, this is you, Dylan, saying that LeBron James is just old. Old head is up 3-1 on you. What are you gonna say? Nothing.
And then he blames the media, saying they made him a villain when he's the one doing all these things. So
It's
if I was a Memphis fan, I would be. If I was a Memphis player, I would be so mad at Dylan Brooks.
that is one thing to me I'm not talking about culture thing or not. That just same thing that's happening with the Cavs. That is why a veteran presence is important in your locker room. You can have young studs. You can have all. You need an older, wiser veteran, even if he's getting limited minutes, even if he's not getting minutes at all. All these young teams need an older veteran, hopefully a rotational player, because they hold you accountable. They hold you. They hold you to a higher standard. Cleveland, well, in the beginning of the season, talent wise, you knew Cleveland is coming. And I was talking about this with the coaches from the school, and we were talking about. I've never seen so much parity in the NBA, and this is great because you're going to have annual competition every single season. You're going to have at least four, I would say 6 teams in each conference that can take that conference because the playing field is very level. And now you have young teams ascending. OKC, the Magic, the Pelicans are going to regroup, possibly retool. You have a bunch of center. Luka, we didn't even talk about Luka. To me, it's still insane that Luka's not part of these playoffs. So the NBA is in a great place, but the Cavs are still a year away. I guarantee you, this offseason, the Cleveland Cavaliers will sign a veteran presence. They had it in Kevin Love. He fell out of the rotation. He asked to be released. He was bought out, and obviously the rest is history. But you see the difference those veterans make in a playoff run. It is essential for and you can count. I forgot the last time there was an actual NBA champion, a championship team that did not have a veteran presence. Even with the Warriors, with Iguodala, he was the older statesman. There's always veteran presence or championship pedigree in a championship organization, and you're going to see Memphis do that as well. They're going to acquire a veteran presence. It could be in the low post. Well, you had Steven Adams. Adams didn't play. That's another situation. Adams hasn't been able to play. So there are parts that are missing, and obviously with the Clippers, you have injuries as well. So it's interesting how that's going to play out in the West. In the East, you have Atlanta. Look, honestly, I didn't expect Atlanta to win a game. They just beat Boston yesterday. A complete meltdown at the end from the Celtics. Trae Young just went berserk. Um, Obviously, I don't think Atlanta's going to take Game 6. I do think Boston might close them out Game 6. How do you feel about that series? Do you think Atlanta pushes to Game 7 back in Boston?
I think it was surprising that they even won 2 games. But yeah, I don't. I think it's over. They gave their best shot last game. They forced a Game 6 on a fluky shot because those pull up shots that Trae Young takes from the logo usually do not go in when it matters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he made the shot. Look, not even their own sponsor, their own arena believed that they were going to win because they booked Janet Jackson for the same day they were going to play.
But you see, that's happening to us too. We have for Game 6, there's a double booking in concerts. Here in the how do you pronounce this? Is it the Kaseya Center?
Kaseya, yeah.
Kaseya Center, which that's an IT company. A lot of people don't know that. So their name is going to be recognized now. They're going to see it a lot. But one thing I have, and Bobby said that. Let me see what he say. A bunch of people here talking about the Knicks. His prediction is the Suns over the Celtics for the championship. Prayers, Miami over the Warriors. Let's see the Warriors. The Warriors are making. I don't think the Warriors. I still think the Kings are going to take the Warriors. I really do. Obviously, depending on how Fox plays, but I don't think the Warriors are making it to the finals this year. But in the East, they mentioned the Knicks. Cleveland now is Cleveland will host Game 7. So Game 6 is back in. Is Game 6 back in Cleveland? It's Cleveland the 4th, right?
Yeah, Cleveland is. I mean, Cleveland is the higher seed. So
Cleveland's the higher seed.
Yeah.
So are we going back? No, Game 6 is in New York.
But as we're talking about this right now, it doesn't look like that's going to happen because going into the 4th, the Knicks are up by 15 to close out the series.
Wow, man. They're going to close this out. Okay. Hey, Cleveland. You see, the thing is with Cleveland, since they're still young as well, they don't have the defense that we have. And I'm going to say this, not because anything can happen, but I think Miami matches up well with a lot of, I think we match up well with the Celtics. If we looked at the beginning of the season, the whole playoff scenario in the East, the number one team that scared for Miami, obviously because of their size, was Milwaukee. And if we can close out Milwaukee today, even if we lose and we close out the game 6, I honestly think the East is up for grabs. People talk about the Knicks. Yes, Jalen Brunson's playing lights out. The role players are ignitable. Obviously, Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett. I do think we can match up well with them. We can match their energy, and no one's going to match Jimmy Butler. I don't think anybody there can defend Jimmy Butler one-on-one. So you're going to have to double team him, and that's going to open up as long as our shot. With the success of this season, and it's insane to me, Jimmy is the best player right now in the playoffs, hands down, for his team. I think he's the most valuable player in the playoffs for his particular team. Obviously, LeBron with the Lakers, you can say that. You can make the argument for Jalen Brunson for the Knicks, but I don't think there's anybody playing right now at Jimmy's level and his will to win. But the success of this postseason run by Miami, obviously relies on Bam, how assertive can he be, how healthy he is, and the role players. If we continue to play and our shots continue to fall, it sounds very simple, but that's what people don't understand. Our regression this year was just that. Our shooting percentages were way lower than expected. We lost a lot of games, and where we were shooting, we just couldn't make anything. Shots that typically fall for us, which was at a time was an anomaly. You're like, what's going on? How is this not? Oh, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come. It's gonna come. But oh yeah, Devin Booker. Okay, granted, that's true. Devin Booker's playing lights out also, and he has Kevin Durant, Chris Paul. They're healthy. Sky's the limit there. So it could be. I don't see how it could not be a finals between the Suns and the Heat. That would be an interesting matchup. I think. I mean, that's a very difficult matchup because you have two scorers, you have two pure scorers, and you have possibly the best point guard right now still in the playoffs in Chris Paul. So obviously a very veteran experience. He's hungry as well for a championship. Maybe not as much as Jimmy, but how do you see the East playing out, Clutch? How do you see, obviously, Philadelphia already advanced. Celtics are going to advance, we believe. The Knicks are going to advance, so it's just really us in Milwaukee. How do you see this playing out? Like, who do you see going to the Eastern Conference Finals?
It might be surprising, but I guess I'm just trying to be different here. But I think the Eastern Conference Finals is Miami, Philadelphia.
Okay. And we match up well with Philadelphia.
And we match up well, and Jimmy has every incentive in the world to beat them.
Yes, yeah. And you know what's the Celtics have. Well, the problem is the Celtics also match up well with Philadelphia because Philadelphia really has no one that can stop Tatum or. That's going to be an insane series because no one in the Celtics can stop Embiid. So Embiid is going to dominate because Al Horford cannot keep up with Embiid, and I love Al Horford. No one can keep up with Embiid anywhere in any. Damn man, it's the problem. This is I love this more, and people are gonna call me crazy because we were here and the big three was with us with the Heat and we were in those series, and I think we could have won at least 3 championships. I think we could have won 2 more, even when before LeBron left, if he would have resigned. So I understand the magnitude of what I'm about to say, but I prefer the NBA being like this, where every year you don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. Like there's no clear-cut dominant 2 teams in every conference. This is across the board, which is why I think it's important. That's why you go for it right now. You're all in. Obviously, you make the playoffs, but you got to go for it at all costs. To me, I'm coaching the Heat. I'm Spo. I am closing this out. I want my guys coming out blazing in the first quarter. I want to completely blitz them. I want to be up by 10, and I don't want to take my foot off the gas. If I don't got to take Jimmy out, obviously Jimmy never comes out in the first quarter. He rests in the first few minutes of the second, and the first few minutes of the fourth. But if I can push him through, man, I am running it down their throats, bro. Like there's no stopping. There's no stopping because you know they're gonna come hungry. You know they're gonna try to feature Giannis. They're gonna make Giannis a focal point, and they're gonna try to get us in foul trouble. And if you just gotta see their demeanor in that first quarter, because the arena's gonna be loud. The Bucks might come out, score the first 6-8 points of the game, but you gotta see how the Heat recover in that first quarter. I want to see how they end that first quarter. That's my key. That's my key tip for this game. I want to see how they end, and I want to see Budenholzer's face because he's in a shit load of trouble, man. Honestly, if they lose to the Heat, do you think he could get fired? I think he could get fired.
I don't think it's off the table. Uh, I wouldn't because he's still a good coach for them for what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't take it off the table because if you're the best, you're the best. I think you're with the best overall record in the entire NBA, and you're losing to the
Yeah.
eighth seed.
Yeah.
I think that might like have a front office do what do you call it? A knee jerk reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, bro. It's funny because even obviously Udoka got hired by the Rockets. They're even going to be a surprise team. They're in the lottery. They can quite. They can possibly pick number one overall, pick Wembayama, and they have a solid nucleus with James Harden possibly going back. So this NBA is going to be fun. That's why I think it's so important. If Miami, this might be our best clear shot this year to go for it and win a championship because there's no one. Denver does give us problems. That's the thing. It's going to be obviously Western Conference Finals is Denver and Phoenix. Well, wait a second. Do they match up in the first round or no?
It's the winner of Denver faces, I want to say, yeah, Phoenix, don't they?
Phoenix? Oh, okay. And then it's gonna be Lakers in the
Because they
conference
play the
final.
4-5, the fourth seeded. Yeah, it's Phoenix.
Because Lakers are probably gonna obviously they're gonna go against the Kings or the Warriors, whatever the case may be. And then okay. So possibly be oh man, you're looking at a Western Conference Finals that could be the Suns versus the Lakers.
Basically, I think whoever wins that second round matchup is going to the finals.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think the Lake. I don't know what's happening with Anthony Davis, but he's not playing. His efficiency numbers in the low post. I always saw a stat. I forgot where it was, and I don't know why they don't play LeBron more in the low post and the low block because LeBron's numbers down there. And this is exactly how we thought his game was going to age because he's such a cerebral player. He's a natural point guard, and he's a strong specimen. So I figured by the time his career was almost over, which is this is the twilight of his career, I figured he was going to be a point power forward, where defensively he's guarding your four. Obviously, at that time people didn't really think the stretch four was going to be everything. So now he's having a difficult time. So he's actually guarding at times fives, just down low. But he's aging gracefully in the perfect scenario for him. But man, this is an exciting play. Like I can't tell you how much insomnia the NBA playoffs cause me because I can't go to sleep after a game like this, man. I this is the Jimmy Butler calendar.
Yep.
Does this man care about basketball? Yeah, pretty much. October. That's when he focuses on big face coffee.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He focuses on that. He plays some games. Basically, Jimmy Butler plays an extended preseason. Then comes Feb, March, April, boom. Man, you have okay, to put it in perspective, Clutch. What did you feel when you saw that performance? Because there's one thing this is the type of game that you used to watch like on NBA Classics. Remember like on a Saturday morning or something you wake up and an NBA TV or like they have or ESPN had these ESPN Classics and they were playing a basketball game from the 70s or 80s. This is something that you feel that you will watch at that moment. But you were watching it live. You're watching it as it's going on, and you're like, dude, I'm witnessing history here. Like he's gonna pull it off. And it's funny because I was doing the show with Bobby. We're doing East 10th Street Boys, and I was just watching for the first 10 minutes of the show. I was just watching TV. I was watching the game, and we were down 9, we were down 6, and then Jimmy just went berserks, which is funny. That timeout, no one can explain really what happened. In that, I think Giannis wanted to call a timeout. Budenholzer was trying to call a timeout. Lowry stepped in or Jimmy stepped in. They stole it, and then Jimmy ends up with a two-handed dunk, and they finally get the timeout, which is the first lead of the game. I don't think you can write a better ending for that game than the way it ended. Like, I don't think you can script that. And I got to watch it. It sucks because my son now. The cool thing is, once I'm producing now, hold up and wait after, so I could actually watch the game with my son, and he doesn't have to go to school tomorrow because it's take your child to work day. He's actually going to go work with my in-laws. So he is possibly going to stay up late. He's super excited because he hasn't been able to stay up late to watch none of his games, which, once again, NBA, I think we talked about this. These schedules, they made a change, right, for the second round of the playoffs? And for the
No, I think the
finals,
change was for the finals. Yeah,
for the finals only. Like
I
who
think so.
picked? Like why are you starting the game at 9:30 in the East Coast? Like
No,
what's the
the
point of
weird part of this is that Lakers and Grizzlies already started, and they're a Western Conference matchup.
what's going on? Because they want to make them prime time. That's why. There you go. They wanted that
Jeez.
because prime time is 7 o'clock. They start right now at 8:30 or 7:30?
They started. I don't know.
And they're
Right
playing at
now
Memphis.
they're at halftime, so I'll say they started
Yeah,
like at eight.
at eight
Yeah,
o'clock probably or 7:30. And they're in Memphis. And they're in Memphis right now, right?
yeah,
Okay, that I figured. Yeah, you see, they just want to, but that still bothers me, man. You can't start a game this late for us here. Like, come on. Like, it's funny because how does the West Coast? It's crazy because yeah, our West Coast games. That's why at 10:30 start. Tip is 7:30 over there, so it's normal for them. But so okay, so yeah, I get like some of the 7:30 games are like 4:30 over there for them, which is insane. I've always found that funny. Like even when the businesses and all that. Oh, I'm in the West Coast, which is obviously your time zone, so that's fine. But I really hope by next year we'll probably see a more structured schedule for this. But I we're going to a 40-minute mark. We started super late. My apologies. That's me. That's on me. We were trying to find this epic song for the Jimmy Butler entrance. Um, oh, Alex, Alex. As soon as I'm done here, I'll jump over for you, bud. Don't worry. That's
yeah. He's
oh,
ready.
there's the host of the number one wrestling podcast in the whole world. I love his entrance, man. I love Alex. Um, no, not podcast, show. Number one wrestling show, right? What's the difference? Podcast is just audio, right?
I think podcast is audio and it's pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded. Got you. We are a live show. It's funny the technicalities you're talking on there. The
Yeah, this is a live
terminology.
show, stream,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Live stream. There we go. Live stream. Okay, cool. Cool. Always wondered. I always wondered. Because you always like, you're like, we are we are entertaining. They are. They really are, man. They're a fun bunch, man. But without further ado, we're gonna wrap it up so we can move it right along. Remember, very important coverage. The NFL draft starts tomorrow, and here on the Finstock Sports Network, there's coverage across around the clock. Every pick is gonna be talked about. Basically, a live reaction to the actual picks, which is a first. A first for us. It's funny. Me and Bobby had talked about this for a long time. He's super proud of the work that is going on behind the scenes with everybody involved, graphics and everything. It's going to be super cool, and it's kind of like the epitome of watching the draft with your boys, with your friends, which is kind of like watching games. And ESPN started doing this. We might do this a few times next year, where you're just watching the game, hanging out, you're talking with your boys, and you're reacting to the game. And the best part of those, there's nothing more real. They ruin it with giving the picks out before the pick comes out. That really bothers me because if it's live TV, I want to be surprised. I don't want to read it on Twitter. I don't want none of those like, oh, according to my sources. No, man, I want it live. It is the best time. It's one of the funnest. I think it is the funnest draft of any major league, any major sport. The NBA might be a little closer, some more trades, but there's nothing like the NFL draft. There's nothing like those emotions and the amount the magnitude of people that just huddle around for this weekend and do absolutely nothing but watch the draft, which we couldn't be more prouder. So for all the guys, good luck on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Don't miss the coverage here on Finstock Sports Network. Remember to like, subscribe, do it for the culture. Fins up. Do it for everybody involved. There you go, Alex Brown. Go Heat. Clutch, our tradition, like always, a man of many words. Do you have anything else to say before we go?
No, man, I'm actually surprised we didn't talk about this really quick. So I'll say it. We
Go
haven't
ahead.
given any love to the Heat's true number 2 option in this series, Caleb Martin. Shout out.
Yes, Caleb Martin. And you can argue Caleb had the most important, the biggest shot of this game, of this
Yeah,
past game,
in Giannis's
in the
face.
corner. That's and it's Caleb is playing now his true role. Clutch. He's comfortable. That's why Spo's not going to start him. He's not going to put him. He's just comfortable with this rotation. Kyle Lowry's playing amazing in his limited minutes as well at times. And you might look who's closing. Look who's closing. You got Duncan, Kyle, Jimmy, Caleb, and Bam. So you have endless possibilities here. I want to see how we come out today, and let's go Heat. Let's see if we can close this out and just have a fun evening, man. Clutch, much love. Next Wednesday, we might be already talking about a second round matchup. Hopefully, there's no game 7. But until then, Miami, stay safe, stay dry. There's thunderstorms around the area until 10 o'clock. So make sure, like I mentioned, tune in this weekend, starting tomorrow, pre-weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, coverage around the clock here in the Finstock Sports Network in the NFL Draft. And stay tuned now because we got, who do we have now? No Host Bar at 9 p.m. Well, 9:05.
I'll be there. Catch me too.
Take care. Oh, you're going to be on? Perfect. Take care,
I'm
Miami.
on.